All right. Hi, guys. So before we start, I just want to say thanks to the organizers. They do a lot of work, and I'm happy to see such a big turnout. Okay, deal one is crazy. I didn't expect it to be as crazy as it was, but the scores were a bit all over the map, and let's discuss. So I saw a fair bit of you guys elected to open the North Hand, and while I'm generally a fan of opening light hands, I'm not sure this one would qualify for me. I'm missing some tens. It's scattered. Often I'll need partner to have like a reasonable hand to do anything, but I completely understand one spade. I also understand pass. Both options are pretty normal, I would say. You'd find a split review, I think. Now, the East Hand is a little interesting. Some people are staunch supporters of having like a good preempt to preempt, but I mean, preempts in the second seat, a little light, are often havoc raising, I would say. I think you would even find some very energetic people opening even three hearts. But so I saw a lot of different problems on this hand. There was one table that got a multi opening, which created like a really interesting result, actually. It went two diamonds multi, like it went pass, two diamonds multi, and we got an overcall. We got a three diamond bid. And then like North now has an interesting problem. Like they're assuming that East West have diamonds and hearts, and like now they have a bid to make. I would personally make a slam try. I would bid four hearts here. I think it shows your hand reasonably well. You have interest in bidding to the 5 level. A lot of good things are happening. But at the table, this is not what happened. They ended up defending 5 diamonds doubled. But this is a good example of like my hand is limited, and I'm planning to bid to the 4 level anyway. I might as well just position myself to make a good 5 level decision, which is always what we're considering. When everyone is bidding, you want to position yourself to make a good decision at the next level of bidding, should that happen. As it is, a lot of people ended up getting to 4 spades on various auctions, and the play was quite simple. Since the trumps were not 3-0, you could safely rough everything and take a club finesse to try for 11 tricks. So this hand had like a lot of elements in the bidding, I would say. There were a couple of people who passed in the North like this, and like they got a 2 heart bid, and now South has their first decision about what to do. A lot of you passed, some of you bid 2 spades. I'm a 2 spade bidder here. I think your texture is quite good. I mean, Jack 4th of hearts isn't great, and you know that you don't have like a game on points, but if you end up not declaring and you want a spade lead, you also want to take a save against some number of hearts. Like, you're very happy if partner raises spades. And this is what I call like a low pressure situation. You're not going to get doubled and go for some number if you overcall 2 spades. Your spades are really good. Like, no one's going to look at their spade holding and be like, okay, I need to double them at the 2 levels. So it's a really safe bid to make. And now the West hand doesn't really want a bid game, but they do want to support, like, raise hearts. You could also bid 3 diamonds if you wanted to, but I like just raising hearts. You have good hearts, and your partner usually has 6 in this position. Now, again, North has like the same problem, how to continue and how to position yourself well for what could be another level of bidding. Plus, it's no cost. Like, you're a past hand, you have aces, you have support, you might as well show your partner that you have something. And you don't know, but slam could be well within reach. Like, here your partner has almost nothing and you're taking 11 tricks on a finesse. So it's a good situation to just show your hand and see what happens. Um, there's a question in the gallery about what South does after a 3-heart opening by East, and I would say that they should pass for the same reasons as I'm saying. Like, your partner's a passed hand, you don't really have a game on points. So if your partner can't act in the balancing seat, this is unlikely to be a good call to make. 3 hearts is actually a pretty devastating bid, to be honest, on this deal. 3 hearts, I could see it going all pass. But I do think that if it went 3 hearts, pass, North should bid 3 spades. They should not pass this auction out. They could also double, to be honest, but passing I don't think is a reasonable alternative. A lot of North did open 1 spade, but a couple of people, actually there was someone that got this problem. It went like they had to bid at the 4 level. It went 2 hearts, pass, 4 hearts, and they had to bid 4 spades to save the auction, and they did. Her name was Debbie, and she bid 4 spades by herself. So that was a very brave bid, Debbie. It was really nice to see. But on this particular hand, like after a 4 heart bid, pass, 4 spades, like all pass is a little normal. It's, I would say, unusual to bid again with the West hand. Like, this is a good example of why the West hand might bid 3 diamonds instead of hearts, because if your partner happens to raise diamonds, now you definitely have a good 5-level save. So this hand is super interesting in the bidding. Okay, so hand 2. A fair bit of you opened the bidding with the East cards. It went 1 heart, and then various auctions ensued. Some people missed game, some people bid game, but a good number of you also passed as East. Now, passing this hand should lead to a pass out. A lot of people saw this. They saw pass, 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 and some tables North opened a spade. But I just want to point out that when you have a balanced 9 count in the 4th position, even if you have spades, you have to be on high alert that it's not your hand. Your partner needs to have passed like a good 11 count to even have a chance for you to be making anything. But it's more likely that it's nobody's hand and you can just pass it out instead of balancing someone into game, because your game is unlikely. So a lot of people saw a pass out on this hand, but a fair number of people opened a heart, and now the hand is still interesting. From South, I wouldn't double South's hand. You have a balanced 11 count, and half of your hand is King Jack tied of hearts. This to me is not a good takeout double. It's asking for trouble. Like, you have no 10s, you have almost no life. If this hand goes 1 heart all pass, you're not crying. So I would definitely not bid in this position. I would pass. And now West has some kind of invitational heart hand. Depending on your agreements, that might mean you bid 2 no trump. It might mean you bid 3 diamonds. It might mean you bid 3 hearts showing an invite. But you have to show some kind of invite. You cannot bid like 1 heart, 2 hearts with this hand. You have 2 aces, you have 4 trump. It's under evaluation to bid at the 2 level with the West hand. Even though, like, you might say, I only have 10 points, it's not a real invite. But as soon as you see ace 4th of trump, you need to look for reasons to bid more, not less. I would definitely open 1 heart with the East cards. I find it easier to bid early than later. And if my opponents bid any number of spades, my hand is now quite awkward. I have to force to the next level of bidding. So I'm happy to open 1 heart with these hands. So here, I guess, let's say you just play some kind of, this is a limit raise in hearts, and North doesn't really have a reason to bid with a 9 count, so they're going to pass. And now East has a decision to make. Like, you might sit there and think, I've already opened a 10 count. Can I really accept an invitational call? And I think the answer is yes. The void is generally good. And as long as your partner's whole hand is not in spades, which is possible, you have a good chance of making game. But in the end, it's sort of a guess at this point. Like, if your partner is tabling king, queen, jack of spades, it's going to not be so great to bid. But you do have the 10, 9, 8 of clubs. You have the 10 of diamonds. You have some slow stoppers in all of the other suits. So I don't think it'll be so bad to bid. I would definitely bid game at this point and hope for the best. That's kind of something that people don't talk about in bridge, where you marginally overbid. And the thing is, you're just hoping for the best because there's not a really good alternative. It could be right to pass, but you have a better gain in bidding and hoping to make game than just planning to make exactly 9 tricks, I would say. So the play on this hand is pretty rudimentary. Like, South is on lead. They're not going to lead a spade. They have ace jack empty fourth. Leading a trump seems not great. And now you have like disastrous options as South, basically. Jack 9 third, I would never lead that. So you're kind of forced into leading a club. And now on this hand, that will solve a lot of issues for you as the declarer. Seeing as you have no spade loser, you have a diamond loser, and now you have a catchable jack of clubs. So I would say you probably don't have a club loser unless South led a singleton club. So just to make sure that there are not any like roughing things happening, we have to play trump. So how do we play trump? We're missing king jack fourth of trump, and the math says it's likely to break 3-1 more than 2-2 or otherwise. But here you have a bit of an entry issue to take 2 heart finesses also. So there's a lot of things at play. Like, you could just play the queen of hearts out of your hand and hope to catch something, but getting back to your hand and having to rough the spades is not ideal. And on the actual hand, you can even afford to lose 2 trumps. What you can't really afford to do is losing the roughs, which could still happen if you take the heart finesse. So I would just play a low heart and hope to see an honor, which you do. And now it becomes a little bit easier from here. Seeing 1 honor now, like, you can play diamonds because now all of your hearts are equivalent. So even if you start roughing things, it's going to be fine. The play on this one, as soon as you see an honor, is quite easy. Deal 3 is crazy. So let's look at this from South's perspective first. So from South's perspective, you have nothing in your hand but 8 very, very good hearts. And a lot of people have different ways to deal with this kind of hand. Some people play like in opening 3 no trump bid is good 4 of a major. But barring that, like, you would have to decide between 1 heart, 4 hearts, or 2 clubs. Of all of these options, I like 2 clubs the least. You're going to get too high on some hands where your partner's not clued into the fact that you just opened 2 clubs on their trick-taking hand. Your hearts are not solid, so for sure I would just throw away the 2 club option. I would decide between 1 and 4. And to me, this is deciding between, like, is this my opponent's hand or is this my hand? Like, if you open 4, you could miss a slam potentially, but you are taking so many levels of bidding from the opponents that that's a huge swing in its favor to just open 4. So that's point 1. Point 2, opening 1 heart doesn't necessarily put you in a good position for later in the auction anyway. I don't expect to see 0 interference. on these kind of hands where you have a long suit and your opponents are expected to bid a lot. So I would definitely start with 4. And now West has a problem. Like, they have a good hand, but not necessarily a hand that wants to bid to the 5 level. I saw some people in this situation started with double. I don't think you should be doubling. It's really important to just get your long suit out of the way. Like, you are not happy if you double and your partner bids 5 of a minor, because that could be too high. You have Jack third of hearts. It's like not ideal, I think. And it's going to be hard to get back to spades. You can play spades opposite even 1 spade on this hand. So let's change the view so you can see all of the boards. Let's go. And I think now everyone can see all of the hands. So I think this is a good starting point right here. I agree that I don't think 2 clubs is legal, but I'm just saying I've seen people do it, and it's just not a good idea, even if it is legal. So here we are. We're at 4 hearts, 4 spades, and now North has a call to make. I sort of like a 5 club bid here at this point, but I'm sure a lot of people pass, and that's not unreasonable. I would just be thinking that I have good interiors, I have 1 heart, I don't rate to beat 4 spades, so maybe I push them up 1 level. Like, that would be my reasoning behind 5 clubs. But I can see a lot of people just saying, okay, I'm done with this auction, I'm out, I'm not bidding. But let's say 5 clubs is on the table. Now, East has a problem. Like, if we go back and we pass, I think East has a couple of alternatives. They have way too much playing strength to pass. Slam is very much in reach. They have a hard control. They have a club control. They have first round control in diamonds. What do you even need for Slam? I think you're going to make Slam against like the ace of spades, the ace of clubs, and a singleton diamond, and then that's not even a 4 spade bid yet. So it's viable to just bid key card and see if we have enough key cards and go from there. It's completely within reach to bid Slam this way. But a lot of people didn't get the chance to bid key card. They saw something like we're at 5 clubs and we haven't bid key card yet. So now you have a real guess. You're not going to know that you have enough key cards to bid Slam. So it's a pure guess, like 5 or 6 or something. You just don't know. This is not like a forcing pass situation. You must bid something at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people bid 5. I wouldn't be surprised if some people bid 6. It's a bit of a guessing game at this point. But let's go back and see what happens over 1 heart. Like, should West double? Should West bid 1 spade? What do you think is going on here? Any opinions? I would think that 1 spade is probably the way to start. You don't have enough to want to double and compete. And this way you can overcall a spade and then potentially bid more depending on how the auction continues. So now North again has a good problem. Like, I don't think you should ever pass with this hand. Now it's just a matter of what should you bid. Some people get to bid 3 clubs with this kind of hand. Some people play 3 clubs as some kind of raise, so they can't. That would be a problem. But if you can bid a natural non-forcing 3 clubs, this is a great hand for it. If you can't bid natural and non-forcing 3 clubs, I would totally lie and bid 2 clubs. I would not pass. Do some people play strong 2 in competition? That's quite interesting. I would think a majority of people play weak jump shifts here, but North should take some action, should bid some number of clubs. And now East again has a good problem. They have a lot of playing strength, but not necessarily a lot of points. Negative X is a good solution for the North hand. I just don't think it conveys the nature of your hand that well. Your hand is all about clubs. It's not really about trying to get to diamonds or playing hearts. And it's worth noting that in this position, double doesn't promise both of the on-bid suits. It just promises points and like a hand that doesn't want to bid one no trump and a hand that can't bid at the 2 level. So a hand without support that doesn't want to bid one no trump and that can't bid their own suit at the 2 level. This could be like any hand that's like 5-3-3-2 with no spade stopper. It doesn't really need both minors, but it's certainly an option. I would just want clubs on the table quickly for this hand. But this is certainly an alternative because you don't actually have that weak of a hand. You could still make a game. But I think you're more likely to make a game with a club fit than the alternative. And if you bid 3 clubs, you're not going to lose the diamond suit if your partner gets the chance to bid again most of the time. So what should East do over let's say a 3 club bid? A theme to a lot of these hands, by the way, was like bidding quickly led to a lot of different high pressure problems for each side. I think in this case, like East could try 4 hearts. They could try 4 clubs to give you more space. If you guys play fit bids, you could try 4 diamonds. But they need to do something more than 4 spades. You could also, like if you were competing in hearts and your opponents had spades, you could try just bidding 4 hearts and then balancing 5 diamonds. But here your suit is higher, so like the competition is going to come at the 5 level if it comes again. So I would definitely try and make some kind of positive move here that's not just a preemptive bid. I think 4 hearts is 4 clubs is pretty clear and it gives you some room. 4 hearts is a little bit awkward because now your partner might not know about the clubs. Like if they don't have 5 level security in the club suit, you're just going to play 4 spades anyway. So all in all, I think 4 clubs is a reasonable bid, and they have a normal 4 heart bid. It was coming, and now like we have a lot of problems still. Why shouldn't they bid 5 clubs directly? It's a little unilateral. I mean, if your partner has some hand with a lot of hearts, I would pass 4 hearts. But the other thing is you don't know that your opponents have like a big spade fit yet. Your partner could have 4 spades and 5 hearts in some hand. But certainly it's not unreasonable to just bid 5 clubs. All of these goulash type hands, you can come up with a good reason to bid anything. But the last point on this hand for everyone is about the score. I would open 4 hearts and see a 4 spade bid. I don't think it's very normal to bid 5 clubs, but I would want to. I think pass is pretty reasonable, just looking at the single dummy hand. And East has a key card bid now. And now if you wanted to get in the way further, you could bid 5 hearts. But no matter what actions you choose, let's say East-West get to 6 spades in some fashion. Like, let's say they respond key. I'll just respond key card. Let's say you play 14-30, key card, pass. pass, and now we'll bid six spades. If you look at the south hand independently, like east west are vulnerable. If they make six spades, that's 1430. Now, if you take no tricks but 8 hearts, that's 1100 for you. So finding the 7 level save should not be unusual, I think, because without any help from your partner, you can't go for more than 1100, which is better than them making 6 spades. And you have no defense to slam. Like, you could cash 0 hearts. So without any bidding at all, like, a lot of tables should probably get to 7 hearts. And West should double that since they don't have first round control, and we should see a lot of 7 hearts doubled contracts. As it was, I saw one table basically did bid 7 hearts by themselves. It was Isabel and Antonia. The south hand just bid 7 hearts after the opponents managed to get to 6 hearts, which in and of itself is not easy. It's very hard to bid slam. It's so easy to just look at one hand or the other and just be like, well, 12 is hard and I'm not going to be able to figure it out scientifically. So getting to 6 spades, I think, is harder than finding out that the south hand needs to take a 7 level save, if everyone's following. If we're just doing straight math on the scoring, I think it's pretty reasonable just to bid 7 hearts if they bid slam. Now, obviously, if they stopped in game, which is your original hope, like, you could try and just pass that out. But with the same logic, you might still take saves at every level since it's cheaper than game. But that's something to consider when you're figuring out to bid or pass. Like, what is my score going to be if I take a save? And always when you're trying to figure out if you want to defend or take a save, you need to ask yourself how many tricks you rate to cash. If the opponents are not being silly, for sure they have the heart control and they have all of the suits like protected. So if you cash no hearts, there's no way for you to beat this contract, and you have no side trick in your hand. So I would think that taking the save is pretty good on this particular board. Deal 4 right now is just showing West. I want to show this as a single dummy problem. And I want to talk about how you should proceed with the West hand as dealer. Everyone's vulnerable, and you're 0-2-5-6. So how many people passed this hand versus preempted? How many people considered bidding 3 clubs? To me, it's a big consideration to just preempt on these hands. Your clubs are quite okay. You have King 10, 9, 7. You have absolutely no defense. And if you pass, you're not necessarily going to be able to show this hand later. It would be nice if you could open 2-0 for the minors, if you had that agreement. But barring that agreement, I think 3 clubs is a very good alternative bid. Like, I would definitely start this hand with 3 clubs. But let's look at all of the hands. So a lot of people, a fair amount of people passed. And that's not unusual. I think you should bid 3 clubs if you cannot bid 2-0 trump for the minors. Now, the north hand also doesn't have an opening bid. Some people might bid 2 diamonds, weak majors, or something like that, but most people don't have a way to show weak minors right away, weak majors right away. So they pass. And now East has an opening bid. A lot of people I saw opened 1-0 trump, and some people open to minor. I would not upgrade into a strong no trump on this hand. I would just open a minor, but of course it depends on your no trump range. Everything is fine if you're in range. And let's see here. So I personally would just, in standard bidding, open a diamond. Some people with balanced hands open a club. That's all depending on your agreements. It's all fine. And now the south hand has, a reasonable one spade bid. I don't think it's a good hand to double in bid spades. You're as balanced as you can be for having a 6-card suit, and you're going to need your partner to have a reasonable hand to make game, since you have scattered points everywhere. And again, if you have the option to use all of these bids, why not 4 no trump like both minors? These are all like partnership agreements. If you could open 4 no trump both minors, I would not do it vulnerable. Your minors are not good enough. You have the texture, but not a hand that wants to play at the 5 level right away. 5 level is very high, and you have jack 5th in diamonds. So you have what I would call a hand that's very good against a fit, but very bad in a misfit. So if you're going to make a high variable bid, like opening 4 no trump for both minors, you have to have some reasonable safety net. This is not a hand for that. 2 no trump is okay, because at least you're still at the 3 level when partner bids. That's not too high. And if you don't have a fit, you are probably still not going to survive, but you have more chances that the opponents bid something and you're going to be fine, let's say. But now, let's say it went pass a diamond and south overcalls a spade. It's quite a normal auction, barring any special agreements. West at this point has another choice, like what level do they want to bid to? And a lot of you guys passed to start and didn't preempt 3 clubs because you thought you could show the hand quite easily, I guess. But this highlights that you don't really have, let's say, a good, clear choice on what to bid. I would probably bid 4 diamonds, given the nature of my hand. When my partner opens a diamond in 3rd seat and I have 0 spades, my first thought is that my opponents have 10 spades. Like, I want to take away as much bidding space as possible. And now if my partner wants to take a save or something, they're in a better position to do that. And always when you pass and you preempt, that should alert your partner to having some weird shape. If you had just diamonds, you would have preempted most of the time. So your partner probably knows that you have some weird hand with at least 5 diamonds when they see this auction. And now North will have no space, so they'll have to bid 4 spades. You can't pass. You have 10 spades, and you have a singleton, you have an ace. A lot of good things are happening for you on this hand. And East has 3 defensive tricks, but not unlikely to be more. And if your partner has 5 diamonds and 1 spade, like, you probably have a pretty reasonable save. But I wouldn't be surprised if some people passed and tried to beat 4 spades. I would bid 5 diamonds at this point. And now, again, you have an interesting position as South. You have a lot of points. That's not to say you actually want to bid to the 5 level, but you don't have any defense here. So it's easy to double and just try and take your money, but if none of your spades cash, how many tricks are you going to take as South? Your partner's a pass 10 and 4 spades doesn't promise anything. So this is a very easy situation to fall into the trap of doubling, but you should not double. So like 5 spades is reasonable. I mean, I wouldn't pass. I would probably just bid 5 spades. But I saw a fair number of people ended up doubling 5 of a minor. But on this kind of auction, when your whole hand is in a suit that might not cash, like, it's very important to see if you have outside defensive tricks. Now, of course, sometimes they're not making five diamonds and you're not making five spades. But most of the time, that's not the case. It could be right, but I think the odds are not with trying to double and defend with these kind of hands. Now a lot, like, so it should have, like, a lot of people took their 5 level dive, and you should beat this one trick. You have 2 hearts cashing and a club, and no real way to pitch anything. So now another way to look at this hand is, like, I would have expected some 3 club bids here, and North should not bid over 3 clubs. Like, they have both majors, but they have a weekend. If you bid against a preempt, you try not to have a weekend, because we don't preempt preempts. So you just pass and hope your partner bids, and then you can bid like 4 clubs to say I have both majors or something like that. Or if your partner balances 3 no trump, you can bid some kind of stayman or something. So I would pass. And now East has a very interesting position here. They could bid 4 clubs or 5 clubs. And it's a very thin line between which one is right. Because, again, you're weighing the fact that if they bid to 4 spades, am I beating it or not? And I would think that I'm not beating 4 spades if they bid it. I have maximum 3 tricks, and if my partner just has like king, queen, 7th of clubs, which is very typical, like, we're not beating 4 spades. I don't ever play my partner to have a defensive trick. So when I'm looking at this hand, I would probably just bid 5 clubs. Now, you could not do it and hope that they don't have enough points to bid and, like, try and buy it in 4 clubs. But if you bid 4 clubs and then 5 clubs, you're giving them a whole extra level of bidding that they don't deserve. So now here, South has another problem. Like, I'm sure it would not be clear at the table over 5 clubs if South is supposed to bid 5 spades by themselves. Because even if partner has 0 clubs, you have vulnerable, like, 3 heart losers and probably at least 1 diamond loser. And, you know, if the ace is on side, just 1. But that's at least 500. And, like, maybe you cash spade, maybe you don't. If you're thinking about it in all of the levels, like, maybe you can come to the conclusion to bid 5 spades as a sack, but it's certainly not clear. And your partner might raise, which can't be right, looking at your hand. So it's a very tough problem as South over 5 clubs what to do. I would not be surprised if it went like 5 clubs, pass, pass, pass. But then you think, well, if I pass, I'm not getting a spade lead, so you bid 5 spades. And that could also be just a big number away. It's not an easy board at the 5 level to decide what to do. Anything could be right, as they say. Play, if you end up getting to 5 spades, is pretty normal. Like, at some point you're going to lose 2 hearts and a club. You can't pitch it on diamonds. You could set up the hearts, but by the time you set up the hearts, they should have cashed their 3 tricks. This is also a very cool board. North is the dealer, and they have a very normal 1 club opening bid. And I think we have a normal 1 diamond overcall. And if you play transfers, I guess you would bid 1 heart. If you play standard, though, you would just bid a spade to show 4 plus spades and forcing 1 round. And now, as West, I saw a lot of people passed on this exact start, or close to it. Like, some people bid a heart showing spades instead. But I think passing is a fundamental error. Like, you should preempt on this hand. 3 diamonds should be on the table. If you can take away your opponent's space, you should. And this is like a pretty safe place to do it. You have at least 9 diamonds and no real defense. Like, it's going to be hard for them to penalize you. and all of these things are working in your favor for bidding. If you pass, you allow like the passing of information. On some level, this game is about how much information you can discover to make an effective decision in the auction or in the play. So if you take away their mode to get that information, that usually helps you, not the opponent. So three diamonds, I would say, is wrong person, is a very good bid. And now North doesn't really have a fit, even though they have short diamonds. They don't have extras, so they're probably going to pass and hope their partner bids again. And now East has some choices here. They could further the preempt. They could bid 4 diamonds, but at this point, it doesn't look like North-South have a fit, and you have a pretty reasonable hand, like you might just buy it. So here, how does South continue the bidding? Anytime there's a lot of competitive bidding, double is your friend. Double is always flexible. It's used to create forces, to tell your partner you have no convenient bid, but I want to know more about your hand. So do not be afraid to use this double card. Partners shouldn't pass unless they have a reason to want to defend the contract doubled. So I would not be worried about that. And now North has an interesting problem. They have 4 hearts, and of course their partner could have 4 hearts, but then that would mean that they have 5 spades. So you could say you have a club fit right away, but some people play 4 clubs here as non-forcing, and you have an opening hand and your partner opened the bidding. So I would not try and make a non-forcing bid. Here, this is why preempts are so good. You took away all of their space to show a fit below the 3 level. So they basically have to double. Otherwise, they have no way to effectively create a force. So I think the expert bid with North is 4 diamonds. You have 3 spades, you have 4 hearts, you have support in all of the other suits, and you're just waiting to see what partner does. So from the South perspective now, you know that you have a club bid, but do you have 11 tricks? Do we know that the opponents have 10 diamonds? No. Your partner could have 2 diamonds. It seems unlikely after the 4 diamond bid, but we're not exactly sure how many diamonds everybody has. So in order for you to be building hands for taking 11 tricks, if you start the hand with 2 diamond losers, now you have to have the rest of the deck outside diamonds, which seems like it's very possible. If your partner has king, queen of spades, king of hearts, king of clubs, you have 11 tricks. Now, if they have that hand with a stiff diamond, you can take 12 tricks. So on this particular hand, with no diamond control and just bare aces, I would try this. There's no real effective way to, at this point, bid a slam, I think. So getting to 5 clubs should be where everyone landed. And the play to 5 clubs, we're just gonna start with the ace of diamonds, and we'll play a diamond from the dummy. Now, West will probably try and get a heart on the table with king, 5th of hearts. And that's just how the defense is going to go. Now, it's not very safe to take a finesse. You don't want to suffer a ruff. So we're not going to take a finesse, and it doesn't endanger our contract. We can safely lose a diamond and a heart, and we still have 11 tricks. If you were in slam, it would be a different story. But taking 11 tricks, pretty easy, and we don't take any finesse to suffer a ruff and accidentally go down in a contract that was making. So hand 6, super interesting also. East is dealer, and it's pretty normal to open a club unless you have a special convention to show 4x1s right away. South doesn't really have a reason to get into the action. And now West has a pretty good hand. Depending on your agreements, you might be able to show like a strong hand with diamonds right away, maybe not. I guess in standard, you would have to bid a diamond, and North has no reason to bid it anymore. So this hand is a classic example for West. Like, your goal as West is to set a game force, set diamonds as quickly as you can, so you can figure out if you have enough controls, enough aces to make a slam. The later you set the suit, the harder it will be to figure out if you can play slam or not. And for sure, you want to play at least a game. You have an opening hand, your partner opened the bidding. East has a tough position. I think it would be sort of normal to rebid one heart, and it's your first 4-card suit and you're unbalanced and you don't want to show a balanced hand when you don't have one. But the problem with bidding a heart here is that you bury the spades and you don't have 5 clubs. Like, if you bid a heart and your partner bids 2 clubs, you have no idea what to do. So in order to avoid this problem, you have to go back to your agreements. Like, many people play, they don't bid a diamond unless they're game forcing when they have a 4-card major. If you play that way, then you can safely, at this point, rebid 1 no trump, even though you have 4-4-1-4. If you don't play that way and you just bid the first thing you can play and up the line, you would have to decide between bidding a heart or a spade at this point. So now we have to plan our auction a little bit. If you bid a heart and your partner bids 1 no trump, you have not mentioned the spades. And again, your partner is probably not going to mention the spades either, because your goal in bidding the suits is to find a fit, and you've shown clubs and hearts. So it's going to be more and more remote that you have a spade fit. So some people might, at this point, elect to bid a spade and then bid hearts. Here you have some extras, so you're happy to do that. You have 15. I think that that's a good way to get in all of your suits and still be at the 2 level. So I would bid a spade here instead of a heart, even though it seems normal to bid your first 4-card suit. Now, West will have to create a game force, usually with 4th suit forcing. Some people play XYZ here and they could jump to 3 diamonds, but a lot of people don't. So we'll just have a normal auction. First, we'll set the game force and then go about our business. So 2 hearts is the 4th suit. And now East will raise hearts, so they show all of their suits. You could also bid 2 no trump to say, okay, I have a heart stopper. Both are reasonable. I think if you bid 2 no trump, it will be hard to find your 4-4 heart fit. And if you bid 3 hearts, as long as you have the agreement that it's natural, that's probably a better bid. But that being said, if you raise 2 hearts to 3 hearts, you have to be prepared for what you're going to do if over 3 hearts your partner bids 4 clubs, because it's not unreasonable for them to think that you have 5 clubs if you raise 2 hearts to 3 hearts. The only time you don't have 5 clubs, in fact, is if you're 4-4-1-4. So both of these options are in the wheelhouse of reasonable, I think. And now I think, again, South should set diamonds. They can either bid 3 diamonds and 4 diamonds or just jump to 4 diamonds. I would jump to 4 diamonds. Now we know our hand is like getting better. Your partner was able to bid 2 no trump. They have some points in hearts. So slammer game, like, this is the easiest way to bid a slam. So I would just try and be simple and clear. Like, I have my own diamond suit. Let's control bid. And now we can control bid as requested. And now the other hand, you have to ask yourself if you can tolerate the key card responses. And if your partner shows 2, you have enough for slam. So all of the bids you can tolerate. I would now bid key card. And your partner's going to show 2 without the queen. And now you get to 6 diamonds. This is a pretty normal auction, I would say, to slam. A lot of people had some issues showing this 4x1, and it's traditionally the hardest hand type to show in bridge. So wouldn't feel too bad about that. A lot of people would not be able to bid the slam in a clear and effective way because East is 4x1. We have something in the chat about transferring. If you play transfers over a club, it's going to be a completely different auction. But again, the base premise of the hand is create a game force, set a suit, and then control bid. That's the archetype hand we're looking at. If you can't do that, you're not going to be comfortable bidding a slam, because as soon as we don't have a suit to play, we don't know what we're control bidding for. We don't know what we're key carding for. So you like this kind of hand, it's a theme basically. You set the suit, you control bid, and then if you can tolerate all of the responses to key card, you bid key card. Now the play on this hand is pretty simple once the trumps break. If the trumps don't break, then we're not going to make slam because we have a spade loser. But that being said, they do have to lead the spade to get it. If they don't, you can still survive if trumps are not breaking, as long as you can pitch a spade on a heart or a club. So on a non-spade lead, let's say they lead a heart, you have all of your chances. You draw the trump, you test the hearts. If they're 3-3, great. If not, now you take a club finesse. If the trumps don't break. But anyway, let's see. Hand 7. Okay, so South has a normal pass, I would say. And West, a lot of people open 1 no trump with the West cards. I would personally open a club and then reverse. I have a control heavy hand. I don't necessarily need to declare the no trump, as I'm wide open in spades and only have queen and a heart. So the controls make me less afraid of the 5 or 6 level, and we could wrong side the no trump by me opening 1 no trump. So I would definitely just start with opening a club. And now the North has a normal 1 heart overcall, and now we have East getting to bid their 5 card spade suit, and now South has a choice. Like, law of total tricks tells you to just bid game, but this is a good hand to ignore the law. You're vulnerable, you're 5-3-3-2, and half of your hand is queen jack third of spades. So that's very bad for declaring, and it's a defensive trick. So I would downgrade a little bit and show some kind of mixed raise, however you do that. That could be in the form of bidding their suit. It could be in the form of just bidding 3. One of these options, any of them, would be fine. And now West has a problem, I would say. They can't bid 3 no trump. They don't have a hard stopper. They have too much to pass. And you don't want to bid anything at the 4 level. And you don't have spade support. So again, we use our utility double. The double here doesn't say anything. It just sort of says I have extras, usually establishes a game force, and, you know, denies the ability to raise spades. The way to proceed over this double tends to be like, okay, I'll bid no trump if I can, otherwise I'll support one of your suits, or I'll rebid my suit, something like that. So here we don't want to rebid spades. We've already shown 5. So we'll just bid our next suit, which happens to be partners minor. And now West would have to decide between like how to proceed. I don't think that we're in a non-forcing auction, but some people play this auction as non-forcing. If the auction is non-forcing, I think West has to decide between raising and 5 diamonds. If you play the auction as forcing, then there's no reason to not like control bid for partner. Is that's the reason to play four clubs as forcing. But again, this is going back to how you guys treat what is forcing and what is not. It's not super clear, and there's no real consensus on how to treat the 4 club bid. Some people say double is explicitly game forcing, so my bid is game forcing. You just have to talk to your partner and decide. I think it's easiest to play 4 clubs. The double is game forcing, and so 4 clubs is forcing, but there are reasons not to do that. And now the next hand would just bid 5 clubs. They don't really, oh, sorry. They have a heart control. And then now would go 5 clubs. And so now we've essentially bid game on a finesse, but 3 no trump. If you open 1 no trump, you might get to 3 no trump, and it doesn't really have any good play. Like they're just cashing the first 6 tricks. So you definitely did better to avoid 3 now. It's going down less than 5 clubs if the finesse is offside. On this auction, we bid and raised hearts, so I would think that it's kind of normal to just lead the ace of hearts and see if we're cashing a couple of hearts or not. We are not, and we'll just cash our 2 tricks and the rest will be over relatively quickly. Hand 8. I saw a fair bit of people open 2 clubs with this. It's not unreasonable to open 2 clubs and rebid spades. I also saw a lot of people open 1 spade with the north hand. I think both approaches are fine, but if you open 1 spade, it becomes a little awkward on how you show the strength of your hand. You have to have some good gadgets, I would say. And I think it's manageable, but a little harder. So let's say we get a 1 spade opening bid, which was more typical than the 2 club opening bid. East has a choice between pass, double, and 2 hearts. I would always bid 2 hearts. It's my most likely game, and it's always going to be hard to play the 5-3 heart fit if you start with double, even though you have a flexible hand. So I would always bid 2 hearts with this hand. I would not pass. And South doesn't really have like a good reason to bid, so they're gonna pass. And West has an interesting problem. You sort of want to bid because you know that you have too many hearts between East and West to buy the contract in 2 hearts. That being said, if you raise to 3 hearts, you might get to 4 hearts unnecessarily. So it's a double-edged sword a little bit. I would bid 3 hearts. I have 4 trump, and hopefully we buy the auction, I think. And now North has a very difficult problem again. They could rebid 3 spades, but it doesn't really show the strength of their hand. Double is not going to be effective because if your partner bids 4 of a minor, you have to bid 4 spades. If your partner jumps to 5 of a minor, it's not going to be really good for you. And if your partner bids 3 spades, you still are probably going to raise. So I saw a fair bit of people had this problem, and they did something I really liked. They just bid 4 spades. It seems unusual, but as long as you buy 1 spade, it's probably not going to be so bad. I mean, you have ace, king, queen, and you have all of the other suits guarded, and you have a hand where, like, you can tell it's going to be difficult for the opponents to defend. Anything they lead could give you a trick. If they lead a diamond, you're great. If they lead the ace of hearts or a low heart, you're feeling pretty good. It's going to be like a nice little pickup a lot of the times to just bid game here. And I saw a fair bit of people did make 4 spades because they got good leads. Some people elected to lead a club. Some people just tabled the ace of hearts. So this hand is too good to open to no trump. You have a running 6-card suit and the absolute maximum number of points you can have for a tuna opening bid. So generally speaking, if you have a maximum and you have off shape and like now you have a 6-card major also, these are 3 no-nos for tuna. Like if you're going to lie, you have to have a good reason to lie. Like this has to be the best description of your hand. And I can see the appeal of wanting to start with 2-no trump because then you're declaring and you protect your king in 1 and king jack 3rd. But it's a high percentage that you don't get to the right game or you miss a slam if you start with 2-no. If you did want to treat it as a balanced hand and you had the ability to at least discover the major, then you could bid like 2 clubs and then no trump. That would be a viable alternative. But I don't think you should show this as a balanced hand. It's just too powerful in spades. So on a club lead, on a heart lead, you're just going to take 10 tricks on this hand. They just gave you the trick on lead. And on a diamond lead, it doesn't help or hurt you, but again, they're gonna have to give you help later also. So like on a diamond lead, low diamond, let's see, you're not gonna cover in the dummy. They're gonna have to play the queen, and you'll take the king. And now again, you're not down. You can draw the trump and then try and end play east again. So the only real lead to help east-west is a trump, which I do think happens to be the best lead. If you're defending this contract, you can see that anything you do gives a trick. If I wasn't going to lead a trump, I would probably lead the ace of hearts and just hope that the hearts are cashing. But again, I have enough points and my partner raised, so maybe the only way they're taking tricks is if I give them one on the lead. And a trump is unlikely to give them a lead. So give them a trick rather. So I would definitely just lead a trump and hope that that beats the contract. I think it's your best chance. And second choice is ace of hearts. I would not lead away from king 10, 4th of clubs, or ace 10, 3rd of diamonds. It's too easy to like blow up the suit. But it's a good hand to say that like you guess the bid game. Hopefully you make it. Maybe you don't. But if they have to lead well, it's a good gamble. This hand is very interesting also. North is dealer and they're going to open a club. We have a normal 1 spade overcall. And South has a game force, like an opening hand with 4 hearts. So we're going to try and show our 4 hearts first with a negative double. Now, West has nothing but diamonds. I think if you play transfers over 1 major double, you could transfer to diamonds. If you play natural, you could bid 2 diamonds, or you could bid 3 diamonds. If you play weak no trump, then you have to open a weak no trump or pass. So if that's your agreement, then you just open a no trump. I just bid like most people are playing strong no trump, so I opened a club. But West has an interesting problem between 2 diamonds or 3 diamonds. If no one had done any bidding, it wouldn't be so unusual to open 3 diamonds, but 7-2-2, some people don't open at the 3 level. So I would guess that quite a few people might just bid 2 diamonds. And now if you play support doubles, you'll likely make a support double. And now here's the catch. East has a void in diamonds. But your second suit is the suit that they showed 7 cards in. So it's very important not to panic bid here. They're unlikely to pass out 2 diamonds doubled. And if they do, maybe your partner gets clued in and runs to spades if possible. Like, the truth is, if you're in a misfit, you want to pass as quickly as possible. You don't want to offer your neck out even further. Like, you cannot be bidding your 4 small in the suit that they showed 7 cards in. and you don't want to be rebidding your 5-card suit. So I would just pass and hope for the best. A little bit of poker at the table. Hopefully they don't figure out that they can pass. And now here, South has an awkward problem. Like, they have a hand that sort of wants to play game, but we don't have a fit. And what should they do? Like, you could downgrade and bid 2 no trump. You could upgrade and bid 3 no trump. When everyone's bidding and I'm 4-3-3 without a clear fit, I tend to bid less, not more. So I would probably just bid 2 no. And if they had passed, they were gonna make 2 diamonds doubled. So it's not a great option to pass with queen empty third, even though you have an opening hand. So West will pass, and now North has a minimum. So they're likely to pass also. And now we're in 2 no trump, and we have to figure out how to take 8 tricks. I don't think West should be leading a low diamond. That could just be their 9th trick. I think West should try and set up partners spades. Hoping partner has 2 diamonds is pretty like hit or miss. If your partner has 1 diamond, you just don't want to touch the diamond suit. And leading the ace seems safe, but if they have queen jack, they can develop that trick themselves, even if you switch. So the fact that you have ace, king, 10, 9, and partner didn't show you any life in diamonds, and they bid 2 no trump, like maybe we just don't attack the diamond suit. So as north-south, we have 4 hearts, 2 spades, and we have to develop clubs or diamonds. So probably what we should do is start with ducking a spade to kill their spade communication. That seems quite normal. On the hand, it's not right. You actually have to win the spade, cash all of your hearts, and stick them in with the spade. But I think it's pretty normal to duck the spade. And now they're just gonna continue playing spades. And so what you want to do now is set up the clubs or the diamonds. And on this hand, that would fail. This is like another hard, high-level bidding problem. East is dealer, and you have 7 spades, the ace queen. Probably normal to open 3 spades. I would definitely open 3 spades. And South has an interesting problem. I don't think they should pass, but bidding 4 hearts is a little scary. Double is, I think it's pretty split between what you should do, double or 4 hearts. You have a lot of people who just don't want to overcall 4 hearts and like miss the 5-3 heart fit. And you have a lot of people who just start with double since their hand is so flexible. I would probably start with double. Now, West has a normal law of total tricks type of raise, and North has a really good hand. So how North proceeds, probably you start with 4 no trump takeout, and now you bid the first thing you can play is South. And it would not be unreasonable just to bid slam, but you are 4-1. And you might just have a hand that's going to run out of tricks, especially if you have like a short spade opposite short spade, which it rates to be since everyone's bidding a lot. Like if your partner has a different shortness, then your hand is quite good because you're roughing in 2 different suits. But here, short spade against short spade means you need to have 12 tricks outside spades or pitch for it. And 4-1, you just might not have it. So I don't think it would be unreasonable to raise, but probably pass is a good bid. And then on this hand, they're going to lead spades since that's their suit. and they're going to switch to hearts. And as you can see on this hand, you needed to actually play 5 hearts instead of 5 clubs. So if you had overcalled 4 hearts, probably wouldn't have played 5 anyway. But like if you played 5 hearts, then you're making 11 tricks. And this one you're going to go down. I don't think that North has any reason not to pass 5 clubs. I mean, some people would correct because they can tolerate passing 5 diamonds or hearts. So in that way, I know some people would not pass 5 clubs because you can play both of the red suits. And this way, if your partner had like 3-4 or some awkward hand, like maybe now for sure you play a fit, you could also do this and hope to get to diamonds or hearts that way. But pass is not unreasonable. And on the hand, you just happen to need to play hearts. On this hand, South is going to pass. And we have 1 spade, double. And East has basically a 2.5 spade bid. So some people play like transfers over this double, and they would show like a good 2 spade bid. But barring that, I think you kind of just have to bid 2 spades with these hands. And if they bid, you can double later to say you have a maximum 2 spade bid. But here, 2 spades is normal, and like West doesn't really have a good reason to bid. They have 5, 4, 3, 1, 14, and your partner could have much less than this 9 count. So they're probably going to pass. So this is a good example of how some conventions help you bid to games, because game is quite okay on this hand. But there's no real way to bid it, I would say. I mean, on this hand, you'll for sure, most people will play a part score. So we have a normal king of diamonds lead in the North, and we're going to take our ace. And we're going to make sure that we can ruff our hearts. We're going to switch to a trump. And you could take the ace and start cross-ruffing. Or you could take a finesse. Since you only need to ruff 1 heart, I would think taking a finesse is pretty normal. Or 2 hearts, rather. Since you can always ruff 1 and you're only in 2. Now we take our ruff. And since we know that South can overruff the next heart, someone can overruff the next heart, we're not in any rush to ruff the heart. We can take our club finesse and go about from there. Second hand low seems quite normal. And now we're going to lose a spade, a heart, and a club. Board 12. Some people would open West, some people would pass. I think not vulnerable against vulnerable, I would always open the bidding, but a lot of people don't agree with that. So I think this is a pretty normal start to the auction, but some people's table went pass, and South got to open a heart. But now South has a really difficult problem. Like, East has bid South's longest suit. So it's a little uncomfortable to double, but you have some cover because they opened a diamond. If your partner competes, it's hopefully going to be in spades or clubs, and you can tolerate that. And passing is not necessarily going to lead to a good auction for you anyway. So I would double and hope for the best. And it's really important. A lot of people, they see this auction where the 4th hand doubles, and the hand that opened the bidding doesn't have a fit but has a weak no trump, and they were going to bid one no trump if they had passed, you should not do that. If they give you a chance to pass, you should. So one no trump here should be some kind of extra, some reason to bid more. If you have nothing more than what you already showed, which is an opening hand with a few diamonds, then you don't need to bid again. And like if you had three hearts, you could make a support redouble, let's say. But here, I would pass and just tell your partner, I have a weak no trump, I have not 3 hearts, not 4 hearts, and let's see what the opponents do. So now North has a 1 spade bid, and it'll go pass. And now South has to decide what level of spades to bid. 2 seems like too little. 3 could be a lot if your partner has an awkward hand and they're bidding 1 spade with 3 spades. So stylistically, some people play that raising 1 spade to 2 spades shows extras. I would argue that even if it shows extras, you have a little bit too much to do that. I would bid 3 spades, and it would go past. And now the North hand has ace 5th of diamonds and 4 spades. I would think that they have enough to raise to 4 spades. You only really want to pass this auction if you're super broke. Now, East is on lead, and the only thing they know about partner's hand is that they have short hearts. So to me, the best way to beat this contract is going to be either partners roughing hearts or we're setting up clubs. And partner rates to have at least 4 clubs, if not more. So setting up clubs is not going to produce many tricks. So I would lead a heart and hope we can use my king of diamonds as an entry for a rough. Now, this north-south, like you can ask about the leads, if they lead 3rd or 5th or whatever. You might, if they tell you they lead 3rd, 5th, or 3rd low, you can come to the conclusion that ducking the first heart is safe. And now West can see that they're just going to try and rough things. Like there's a stiff diamond in the dummy, they're going to rough that. So there are 2 alternatives for West. They could return a heart and hope to score their trumps, or they could play a trump and hope that they can't rough enough things. Because again, North, South are going to have to play things anyway. So if you play the trumps, they're going to run out of tricks. Your partner has 4 hearts. They can't set up the hearts. The clubs don't look like they're setting up since you have ace 4th of those, and you have 4 diamonds to the queen jack. So the only thing you want to do is make sure that they don't have 10 on a cross rough. So I would play a trump. And so we'll try this. It's important to play low, like they're not going to take a deep finesse against the queen jack. It's too, no one can see your hand but you. That's a good point. Like, you don't need to split just because you have it and you know if they take a finesse it will work. They're never going to know that the finesse is working. You try and play clubs. Take. Take another trump. And now what's going to end up happening is we can't rough everything. This is another pretty normal play problem, but interesting bidding problem. North is dealer. You could definitely open 3 clubs. You could also pass thinking that your clubs are not good and you have a side ace 3rd that could be defensive. Either option is okay. And East has a normal 1 heart opening bid, and I would say South has a normal preempt of 2 spades. your spade texture is quite good, you're unbalanced. Queen third of hearts is not great, but it's going to be very hard for them to double you when you're looking at Jack 10, 9, 7 of spades. And you're going to take more space from them this way. So West has an opening hand with support. They need to show it. They're going to bid 3 spades. And now North has another problem. Like, I don't think North should ever pass. You have ace third of spades and like no defense to 4 hearts. So you want to position your partner in a good way to take a save, I would guess. Like, you could bid 4 clubs, intending to then bid 4 spades, and in case they bid to 5 hearts, now your partner is going to know whether or not to bid to 5 spades. You could also try to give no information and just bid 4 spades and force them to make their decision right now about the 4 level or the 5 level. Both options are fine. I'm a fan of just bidding 4 spades and not bidding out to the 5 level. But if you were being technical, like 4 clubs is a good bid. Now, East doesn't really want to bid to the 5 level with 2 low spades, but they don't want to double either with no defense. So I would live with pass. We're in a nice forcing auction, so I would just pass. You could also double. Double is fine. And West also has a hand that doesn't want to bid to the 5 level, and you have defense. So they would just double, and here we are. Now, South is on lead. You're going to score an extra trick if you can score a ruff. So if you lead standard honors, you would start with the king. If you lead not standard honors, you would start with the ace, because one of them will show shortness and one of them will just show the ace king. So East should give count on this one. If you play upside down, you need to play the jack. If you play standard, you need to play the 3. This was not an attitude situation because the dummy is coming down with queen 7. So now we switch. We don't cash any more clubs. We try and cash our tricks. Because they can set up the clubs. Like, we don't have control in spades. So if we don't cash our tricks, they can rough out a club and they have a dummy entry with the spades to pitch all of their losers. So it's paramount that you cash out once you see the dummy has a source of tricks. And the rest is small potatoes, as they say. Now, 14. A lot of people might treat this hand differently. Some would open 2 clubs and then show a balanced hand. Some would open 1 club and then reverse. I personally like to open a club when possible. It makes getting to 6 of a minor a lot easier than opening 2 clubs and treating it as a big balanced hand. So if I have a hand that sort of wants to get to 6 of a minor, I tend to open the minor and bid accordingly. So we're going to start with a club, and then North will overcall a heart. They won't preempt. They have an opening hand. They could play hearts or spades. You can't really double since you have 6 hearts and not a hand that wants to double and bid. And East doesn't have a good reason to bid, so they'll pass. South will again pass with their 4 count, and now we'll double. It's a little awkward when you don't have spades, but you shouldn't be worried about your partner jumping too high in spades. They didn't preempt, and they didn't make a weak jump shift over 1 heart, so they're not going to have like a weak hand with more than 5 spades. And if they have 5 spades, they're not going to just jump to 4 spades. So it's a controlled auction so far. North could bid a spade now. They could pass. Either is fine. I would pass. Some you could convince me to bid a spade. All is West is too good to open two no trump. If you're going to treat it as a no trump type hand, you should open two clubs and then bid no trump. So you show it like 22 to 23 type of hand, because you have 5-4-2-2. You have a source of tricks, and you're control heavy. You have a lot of aces and kings. Like if you open two no trump, you could see three no trump with a flat 11 count, and you're making slam, but you won't have bid it. So I definitely think if you're going to show a balanced hand, you should upgrade it into two clubs. But like I said to start, I would open a club to make it easier to get to six of a minor. Now on this hand, you could now bid one spade. You could even bid two spades since you've already passed. Two spades is a good alternative. One spade is fine. And now the other hand will bid no trump to show a very good hand that can't bid anymore. And East would pass, I think. Now we'd play one no trump, and on a hard lead, it's just 8 tricks. So easy to avoid getting higher when it's unnecessary, and you positioned yourself well to get to 6 clubs or 6 diamonds. Now we finally made it to the last board, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. It's another doozy. Oy. Okay, so South has a good balanced hand with a 6-card suit. They're in good range to be too good for two no trump. So if you do treat it as balanced, I think you have to start with 2 clubs on this hand. It is way too good to open two no trump 20 to 21. So I would do that. I would open 2 clubs. The other thing you could do if you had good methods after you opened a diamond is like open a diamond and show like a good hand with diamonds. That's an alternative, but you have to have good methods over a diamond to show a single suited game forcing hand. It's too good to open a diamond and like jump to 3 no trump, let's say. The other hand will bid 2 diamonds waiting. And now East has an interesting problem. No one's vulnerable. So for sure they should bid at least 3 clubs. Some people might even bid 4 clubs. It's a little too rich for me, but 4 clubs could be a very devastating bid on many, many auctions. I think I'm trying to keep it towards what most people would do, and most people would just bid 3, I think, since their clubs are not ideal. And now South has a good reason to mention their 6-card suit. No good reason to like insist on no trump. If your partner raises diamonds, it's not going to be bad for you. And if your partner can't raise diamonds, they can bid 3 of a major. And now if they bid hearts, you can raise. If they bid spades, you can fall back into no trump. So always when you can bid your suit, you should do that. It really helps when everyone's bidding. Now let's see. North has not a great hand, but not a bad hand, and King 4th of diamonds is huge. So I would make a very direct bid. I would raise diamonds just so we know what suit we're playing. If slam is possible, we have enough room for discovery, things like that. And they'll pass. South has nearly all of the key cards. Maybe they don't want to just force slam since they've already opened 2 clubs. You can just start with control bidding and see if your partner can give you some help. And here your partner can't really give any help outside hearts. But to me, North already denied a club control when they bid 4 diamonds. I think if you have a club control with diamonds, you could potentially bid 4 clubs. But again, that's just how I think about the auction. I wouldn't be surprised if most people didn't want to make the auction confusing and just raise diamonds 3 to 4. So if you're pretty confident that you've denied a club control, you could now bid 5 clubs last train if you wanted to. But if we're not on sure footing, like 5 diamonds is pretty normal call. You don't have any other controls to show. You have nothing in spades, nothing in clubs, and now it's your partner's turn to make a decision. So here, I think the reason that you didn't just bid key card is that you were willing to pass 5 clubs or 5 diamonds, and I would continue with that line of thought. If you thought you had a hand that was good enough against the king of diamonds to bid slam, then you should just bid key card. But here on this particular auction, we would miss slam. And slam, again, you need to guess the hearts. Otherwise, it's just no play on a club lead, and you know you're getting the club lead on this auction. Like, it's going to go all pass. They're going to lead the king of clubs, or, well, they're going to lead club. And now you have to guess everything. Okay, so there's one last question in the chat. If South opens 2-0 trump and North bids 3 clubs puppet and the bad guys say 4 clubs, South bids 5 diamonds, should North bid 6 diamonds? Okay, that's a sad situation. And this is a good example about why opening 2-0 trump is going to make things hard, because you're a little bit out of range. You're so control heavy and so slam forward that like hiding the diamonds is detriment to your hand. At this point, over 4 clubs, I'm not sure I would bid 5 diamonds. I would probably bid 4 diamonds to see if your partner could raise. But again, I don't know how you guys treat hands that could be like 5-5 in the majors or 4-4 in the majors. That might change how you interpret the auction. If your partner can't be 5-5 in the majors, then bidding 5 diamonds is fine. Certainly you have to bid either 4 or 5 diamonds. And if I had just opened 2-0 trump, the other hand probably can't just bid to 6 diamonds. Again, 2-0 trump is 20 to 21, and you have 8 and you're balanced. So it's a little too much to raise 5 diamonds to 6 diamonds, I would think. I mean, even here, like, we opened 2 clubs and getting to slam was no easy feat. And I can see all the cards. If 2-0 trump is 20 to 22, you might have a better case for opening 2-0 trump than 2 clubs. That's at least within range. And again, 20 to 22, the other hand still couldn't force the slam with a balanced 8 count. You would just never know with any kind of certainty that slam is making. And on a club lead, you have to have 12 tricks. Like, since we don't have shortness opposite shortness. One good rule you guys can have is that balanced against balanced, you need more than the minimum number of high card points to get to slam, because at some point you're going to run out of tricks. Here, the thing is, South is not really flat. They're not really balanced. So you could get away with getting to slam here and guessing the hearts. I do think a fair bit of people, if you got to 6 diamonds, might go wrong. So, like, let's say the auction went something like this. Let's say we saw a 4 club bid. And now 4 diamonds pass, and we have to bid sort of like 5 clubs to say, okay, I have some diamonds for you, but I don't really have a good hand. And now it'll go 5 like this, all pass. So now East jumped to 4 clubs. And they're on lead. Like, everyone's prepared, but you don't really have a good reason to like lead spades. You could lead a spade, but let's say they let a club. You have to take the ace. They're going to play small. And now we're going to draw the trump. You're going to find out that East has no diamonds. And when East has no diamonds, we still have to draw all of the trump. And now we have to play hearts. So we're going to play the 7. Then we're going to play the queen. And now we're going to drop an honor. Now you guys have to decide if East bid 4 clubs with 7 clubs to an honor. You know that they don't have king queen because they led small and not a top honor. Like, you have to decide if they were 7-2 or 7-3. Like, you have to guess the shape, and you don't really get to play any cards to figure out how many spades they have. So it wouldn't be so weird to just do this. I mean, could easily see going down and slam that way. So this slam is pretty thin. It happens to make. You have to guess things well. By no means is it normal for everyone to bid slam on this card, especially if you get a 3 or 4 club bid. It's just going to be a little bit too hard to deduce single dummy. I mean, the North cards will just look like too many losers, and the South hand will just look like they need too many cover cards. Like, if North doesn't have any of these kings or club shortness, which we don't know since they didn't raise clubs, like, we might just not have 12 tricks. But anyway, thanks everyone for coming, and thanks again to the organizers. Hopefully the next one you guys play will be even bigger. It was a great turnout, and remember to thank each and every one of the people that set this up. I really don't do anything. I just show up and talk about some hands. The real work happens way before I get here with everyone else putting it together. So best of luck. I hope you guys come back for the next one and have a good one.